This is Lord Thaddeus Gray. What's this one about? Well, it's one I did kind of make a promise to make a while back, so I'm going to go ahead and do it now. Do I know a lot about this subject? Not really, just a few things I've read, heard, things like that. But I know enough to where I could probably do a video on it without too much of a hitch. This one's going to be about black-eyed individuals. Of course, most of the time it's considered children, black-eyed children, things like that. I can't really tell you where these things come from, but I do know they're interdimensional, most likely. Are they possibly demonic? No doubt about it. They seem to almost be, well, they're trouble. I know that for a fact. Supposedly they show up looking as children or something that can kind of catch you off guard, but for some reason their eyes are black. That right there in itself is kind of frightening to think about. Something with black eyes, like looking into the abyss, and the abyss literally stares back at you. Not fun to think about. So, what exactly makes these beings so damn dangerous? Well, for one, supposedly they can't really come in too much of a person's home unless they're invited. And of course they use this type of appearance, something vulnerable, something that would look almost harmless like a child, to come in and cause all kinds of trouble. Usually, they might be in your home for a short period of time, and then they're gone or whatever. But the thing is, there's all kinds of bad stuff that happens to you afterward. It's literally like you kind of gave permission for something to come in. However, I do believe that this is simply one of the tricks for the adversary to use when it comes to trying to trick individuals into letting the kind of evil into their lives. Now, of course, we're all guilty of falling short of sin. Make no mistake. I'm not going to go into all that. There's no need to. Most of my listeners already know these kind of things anyway. I'm just going to say this. Something about these creatures, these entities, whatever they are, once they're allowed in, it's almost like you grant permission for all kinds of bad shit to happen. And boy, does it. I've heard of all kinds of things when it comes to individuals interacting with these kind of creatures. Of course, on podcasts, stories I've read, of course, people have wild imaginations and try to make creepypastas or horror fiction stories out of them. I'm not a fan of anything demonic, okay? I try to leave that stuff alone, to be honest. I'm not saying I never have even thought of things like that. I'm just very careful with it. Because when you even think along those kind of lines, you risk courting problems. And you have to understand where I was living in that nice little supernatural hotspot in Houston. Things that were crazy enough, and I still limit myself to what I, watch, listen to. I know I need to do it more, but I'm just saying, when it comes to demonic, I try to kind of pay attention and take that to a minimum. But at the same time, this does need to be covered. So my point is this. These things seem to be something that you have to invite. They give you a choice. And once you make that choice, then you're tricked. I'm not going to say it's over, but you have a lot of supernatural problems. I've heard of stories where people they finally had to get like a priest or some kind of exorcism or something to be done. My point is they would have to have a specialist to come in and cleanse that entire area where they were living, because bad shit just kept happening and just bad stuff. Now, these things seem to be drawn to negative energy. They seem to be drawn to places where bad events have occurred, or possibly bad people even lived at one time or other. It's definitely something which is not good. I'll tell you that right now. Such beings, I do believe, it's kind of obvious. So many people have seen these things. They look like regular people, maybe something off about them, about their clothing or something like that, but those black eyes kind of give it literally, it's kind of it's right there in front of you. And if you choose to look past that and you invite them, in to be interacted with, that's where you have problems. So even then, you have to be aware of your surroundings. I can't tell people to do this enough. Pay attention. Because the fact is, such beings, they definitely feed off the superstition and the fear of people. However, they seem to feed more off of naivety and ignorance, where people don't pay attention. And then, of course, again, more problems than it's worth. By the time this entity's probably long gone, its job's done. Its goal was simple, and that was to basically bridge the contact between you and whatever supernatural force was behind it that wanted to come in and basically, excuse my French, fuck up everything in your life 6 ways to Sunday. And that is the reason you have to stay prayed up as best you can, whatever your faith is. Use common sense. Be careful what you put in your head. This is something I need to do more, point blank. I'm the first one to say, there's the goose and the gander, if you get my drift. But my point is this. Pay attention. And most likely, you will have less interactions with things like this. Don't get me wrong, the subject's fascinating, but just be careful about what you put in your head. That's all I'm saying. Of course, this is kind of what I do, so therefore I have to, within reason, do such things. But I'm just kind of leaving that for that. Now, what other types of things seem to draw these kind of entities? Well, of course, people doing, magic, using Ouija boards, things that should be left alone. Again, this is where such beings like to come in and just cause all kinds of trouble in your life. The way I see it, leave them alone. It ain't worth it. Because, again, you basically, when you start seeing something like this, there's something going on within you or maybe your environment that's drawing these things to you. And, of course, again, that was the bridging of the gap between whatever is controlling them and wants to get into your life and wreak havoc. Obviously, something of the adversary's doing, but I'm just leaving it at that. Pay attention. I think very much you'll most likely have to deal with less of these kind of encounters, hopefully, than nothing else. Or there could also be the other thing. Think on this. Sometimes there are good men of faith, whatever your belief is. There are genuinely good men, women out there. And then, of course, they draw the ire of such beings because they're like, man, these people are happy. These people are doing good. We can't have that. And, of course, the same kind of encounter. And maybe these people are good people. And they're like, wow, these are kids. Of course, they don't notice. And again, more trouble. That's what I'm saying. So these things don't seem to discriminate too much when it comes to their victims. But at the same time, be aware of what potentially draws them. I'm just going to leave it at that. This one was actually kind of fun to make, more than I thought it would be. So, either way, you guys know what I do. I'm the producer for the Dark Waters family. For most of the shows, anyway. If you've had a cryptid sighting or a supernatural experience or encounter, hit me up, and I'll make sure that you get the chance to tell your story on one of the shows or the podcast, whatever you want to call them. My email is wesvick, WESVLCK, @dogmancams.com. You guys be blessed and be safe. Oh, one more thing. I am planning on releasing a no-sleep story quite soon. I know I probably put that in what's, one of my shorts, but I just want to kind of let that be known. I do plan on releasing something which might actually be kind of cool. I think you guys might enjoy it. It's definitely something that I've never really read before, so it's kind of neat. I got permission from the author, and they're all game for it, so we'll be seeing how soon that'll be. It's going to probably be a couple of weeks, at least, but we'll see what happens. You guys be blessed and be safe.